Imagine, just for a moment, that someone walks up to you right now and offers you $10 million.
Oh, I mean, I am taking that. Cash, right?
Cash. Tax-free, yours to keep.
Yeah.
But there is one condition.
There's always a catch.
Right. The catch is, the moment you accept that $10 million, you only have one single day left to live. Would you take it?
Not a chance. I mean, no.
Exactly. And I'm guessing the person listening to us right now wouldn't take it either.
Definitely not. You wouldn't even hesitate to say no.
Which, it reveals this pretty profound truth about how we value our resources. Because if you turn down $10 million just for the sake of waking up tomorrow, you intrinsically know that time, not money, not property, is your most valuable asset.
Right. Time is the ultimate non-renewable resource.
But here is the massive disconnect. If you wouldn't trade a day of your life for $10 million, why are you perfectly willing to throw away like hundreds of hours rereading a textbook or rewatching tutorial videos using study methods that are just fundamentally broken?
Yeah, we protect our money so fiercely, but we just burn our time, mostly because we don't realize there's, a better way to operate.
Exactly. And that is why we are here today. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are jumping into a really brilliant text called the Exam Success Playbook by Tolan Grey.
Such a good read.
And I want to be incredibly clear right up front. Our mission today is not just about, helping you pass a school exam, whether you are prepping for some massive industry certification or catching up on a new field for your career, or even just trying to master a complex hobby. We are decoding the ultimate meta skill. We are talking about learning how to learn.
Which, when you get down to it, is really about time management. It's about how to stop wasting your time on methods that biology says simply do not work, and how to actually make information stick in your brain permanently.
Right. And to really grasp the systems we're going to explore, we need to look at Tolan Grey's own journey, because she didn't start out as a cognitive scientist.
No, not at all.
She actually earned a degree and then a master's degree in architecture from Obafemi Awolowo University.
Which is an incredibly rigorous, highly structured, very demanding field.
Very demanding. But after getting her master's, she made this massive left turn. She walked away from architecture entirely and decided to teach herself how to code.
That is a fascinating pivot, and it's exactly where the friction begins.
Yeah, going from a super structured university environment to just learning to code on your own with a laptop and the internet.
It's overwhelming. There is no syllabus. And for those first few months, she did what almost every single one of us does when we try to learn something new. She studied the default way.
Right, the way we were all taught in school. She watched hours of tutorials. She took long, detailed notes. She highlighted everything. She pulled all-nighters.
Classic brute force.
Exactly. And she would finish a coding tutorial feeling amazing, totally confident. But then she would open up a blank screen to actually write the code herself, and nothing.
Just crickets.
Literally crickets. She couldn't remember half of what she had just watched. And why does that happen? Because I think everyone listening has experienced that exact phenomenon.
Oh, absolutely. It's a psychological trap called the illusion of competence.
Yeah.
She was confusing familiarity with memory.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Well, our brains are incredibly efficient, which is really just a polite way of saying they are lazy.
Right.
They want to conserve energy. So when you re-watch a video or reread a textbook chapter, your visual cortex processes the information and sends a signal that says, oh, yes, I recognize this. I've seen this pattern before.
Oh, wow. So you feel like you know it.
Exactly. That feeling of recognition creates a dopamine hit. It creates this false sense of confidence. You really, truly feel like you know it.
But recognition is not the same as retrieval.
Not at all.
It's sort of like hearing a song on the radio. You're driving, the song comes on, and you're humming along. You anticipate every beat, and you think you know the song perfectly. But then you hit a tunnel. The music suddenly cuts out, and you realize you can't sing it a cappella. You don't actually know the lyrics. You don't know the key. You just recognize the tune while it was playing.
That is a spot-on analogy.
Right.
Rewatching and rereading, it only trains your brain to recognize information when the stimulus is placed right in front of you.
Right.
It does not train your neural pathways to, generate that information from scratch. And whether you are sitting in an exam hall or sitting in front of a blank screen at a new job, nobody is asking if you recognize the information.
They want you to produce it.
They're asking if you can produce it from memory, from scratch.
So Tolan had this epiphany, this massive effort she was putting in. It was a complete waste of her time. The knowledge wasn't sticking. So she dove into the research on brain science, discovering memory experts like Jim Quick, and she completely overhauled her system.
And it paid off.
Huge! Within 6 months of doing this, she landed a job as a front-end developer.
Which is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And she achieved that not by putting in more hours, but by studying in a way that actually aligns with how the human brain alters its own physical structure to store data.
So let's talk about how she did it. She engineered a method focused strictly on retrieval. She calls it the Grey 3R system. Read, recall, repeat.
It sounds super simple, but the mechanics are very rigid.
Very. Step
Yeah.
1, you read your material for exactly 5 minutes, just 5 minutes.
Yep.
Step 2, you close the book, put it away entirely, out of sight.
That's the hard part.
It really is. Step 3, you grab a blank piece of paper and write down absolutely everything you can remember without looking.
And she means everything, even if it is just fragmented thoughts or really messy bullet points.
Just get it on the paper. Step 4, you open the book back up, compare what you wrote to your notes, and actively hunt for the gaps. Find exactly what you got wrong. And finally, step 5, you repeat the process, but you only study the parts you missed. Now, I have to stop you here, because if you're sitting there trying this out, closing the book after 5 minutes has to feel incredibly demoralizing.
Oh, it does.
I mean, staring at a blank page, feeling your brain freeze up, it feels like you're failing.
It feels terrible. It is deeply uncomfortable. But we really need to look at what is physically happening inside your skull during that moment of frustration.
Okay, what is happening?
Well, the brain does not strengthen neural pathways when it is passively receiving information. When you sit there staring at that blank page, furrowing your brow, like desperately trying to pull a fact from your memory, your neurons are firing.
Really? Just from the struggle?
Yes. That struggle actually triggers the release of neuromodulators that tell your brain, hey, this information is vital for survival. We need to solidify this connection.
Oh, wow. So the struggle isn't a byproduct of learning. The struggle is the biological mechanism of learning.
Precisely. To put it in perspective, think about two hypothetical students. Student A puts in a massive 10-hour study session.
Okay.
They read every chapter 3 times. They have 4 different colors of highlighters. They color code every single page. By the end, they feel incredibly confident.
The illusion of competence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, student B only studies for 3 hours. They read a section once for 5 minutes. Then they close the book, force themselves to recall it on a blank page, check their mistakes, and repeat. Who performs better?
Well, I mean, based on the science, it has to be student B.
Student B wins every single time. Because hours measure effort, but recalling measures actual neurological change.
That makes so much sense.
Student A spent 10 hours building familiarity, just recognizing the song on the radio. Student B spent 3 hours building deep, retrievable neural pathways. They were practicing singing a cappella.
Stop measuring your study sessions by the clock and start measuring them by what you can reproduce on a blank piece of paper. But hold on, I see a problem here. I am totally sold on the 3R system for making things stick. But staring at a blank page and wrestling with your memory is exhausting. I don't want to do that for a 500-page textbook. How do I even know which 5 minutes are worth that level of mental agony?
And that is the catch. If you just apply the 3R system blindly to everything, you are still going to waste your time.
Right.
You can have the best retention system in the world, but if you were memorizing the wrong things, you're still going to fail the exam or bomb the project.
Which brings us to the filter for that agony Tolan Grey's question first method. She uses an analogy in the book that I think paints the picture perfectly. She says, starting a textbook at chapter 1 and reading straight through without looking at past exams. Well, she says it's like driving from Lagos to Abuja without plugging the destination into Google Maps.
And for context, that is a drive of over 700 kilometers across Nigeria.
You would never just get in your car, hit the gas, and hope you eventually stumble upon the right city.
No, you need a destination.
But we do this with learning every single day. We open a massive textbook, start on page 1, and just hope that whatever we are reading happens to be what the examiner or our boss actually cares about.
Scientifically, reading without a destination is a terrible way to direct your cognitive resources.
Why is that?
Let's look at the mechanism of why the question first method works. There is this psychological concept called goal-directed attention. It's driven largely by a network in the brain called the reticular activating system. the RAS.
The RAS, okay.
Your brain is bombarded with millions of bits of sensory information every second. To keep you from going insane, the RAS filters out almost everything that isn't immediately relevant to a specific active goal.
Oh, so if you don't give your brain a goal, it just discards the text as background noise.
Exactly. If I hand you a dense chapter on the chemical composition of the atmosphere, your eyes will just glaze over. Your brain says, this isn't relevant to my survival, ignore it.
Right.
But if before you read that chapter I ask you, hey, why is the sky blue? Suddenly the filter changes.
Oh, I see.
As you read, any sentence about the scattering of light or atmospheric particles triggers an alert. Your brain is actively hunting for a specific answer. The question gives the reading a purpose.
So how does Tolan actually operationalize this? She outlines what she calls the Grey question loop.
Yeah, let's break that down.
Step 1, you find 10 past exam questions on the subject. Step 2, you analyze them to identify repeated topics. Step 3, you study only those specific topics using the 3R system. And step 4, you test yourself.
And she even issues a challenge. She says you should aim to answer 100 relevant past questions before exam day.
100, wow. But I have to play devil's advocate here for a second, because only studying past questions, I mean, that sounds a lot like teaching to the test. Aren't you risking missing the broader context of the subject?
That is a super common critique, but it fundamentally misunderstands what a well-designed test actually is.
Oh, so?
A good exam, or a really good project brief at work, is a proxy for the core competencies of that field. When you study the questions first, you aren't just memorizing isolated answers.
Because of the RAS.
Exactly. Because of that goal-directed attention we just talked about, your brain naturally captures the context around the answer. You are learning the broader subject, but you are anchoring it to the most critical nodes of information rather than just all the fluff.
It's like buying the frame before you paint the picture.
Oh, I like that.
You know exactly what size the canvas needs to be, so you don't waste expensive paint on the outer edges that will just get cut off and thrown away anyway. You focus your effort where it actually fits the frame.
You let the desired output dictate your input.
All right, so we know what to study by using the question first method, and we know how to practice recalling it using the 3R system, but I still see a massive hurdle here.
What's that?
I buy the retrieval method for concepts that make logical sense. But what happens when you hit a wall of pure, unconnected data? Things like foreign vocabulary or strange formulas or anatomical terms that have zero logical context for your brain to latch onto.
The brute force memorization trap.
Yeah.
This is where phase 3 of Tolan Grey's system comes in. The memory bridge technique.
Okay, lay it on me.
To understand why we need this, we have to throw out a very old cliche. People often say the brain is like a filing cabinet where you just slide a new folder into alphabetical order.
Right, which never really made sense to me anyway.
Because it's biologically inaccurate. The brain doesn't store memories in isolated folders. It stores them in vast, interconnected networks of neurons. A better metaphor is a city grid.
A city grid, okay.
When you try to learn a completely new abstract fact, like a weird anatomical term, it's like dropping an isolated cabin in the middle of a dense forest, miles away from the city.
Oh, there are no roads leading to it.
None. So when exam time comes, your brain just wanders around the forest trying to find the cabin, and it can't.
So how do we build the road?
You have to force a connection. In neuroscience, there's a famous saying, neurons that fire together, wire together.
I've heard that.
The absolute strongest way to learn a new, unfamiliar fact is to forcefully link it to a memory that already exists strongly in your brain.
Yeah.
You build a bridge from the known city out to the unknown cabin.
Tolan gives some pretty hilarious examples of this in the book. Let's say you need to memorize that the mitochondrion is the powerhouse of the cell.
Right, classic biology fact. If you just repeat that sentence 20 times, the cabin stays lost in the woods.
Yeah.
But if you use a memory bridge, you picture a massive, incredibly loud school generator. You can hear it rumbling, you can smell the diesel fuel, and you picture that generator supplying electricity to all the classrooms.
Yeah.
The generator is the mitochondrion. You've just anchored an abstract biology concept to a visceral, multisensory, real-world memory.
And this works incredibly well for abstract vocabulary, too, like anatomy. Say you need to remember that the femur is the largest bone in the human body.
The word femur is totally abstract to most people. But if you happen to have a friend named Femi, you have a bridge. You close your eyes, and you picture your friend Femi standing on one giant, massive leg bone, showing off how strong he is.
That is so bizarre.
It is. But every time you need the word femur, your brain will pull up the image of Femi on the bone.
She has another one for astronomy remembering planetary order. If you need to remember that Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, you think of a friend named Mercy.
Right.
You picture Mercy standing right next to a blazing, blinding sun. She's sweating, she's wearing dark sunglasses, and she's holding up an umbrella to block the heat. Mercury connects to Mercy with an umbrella.
It sounds absurd, but the absurdity is the mechanism. The human brain evolved to remember the unusual, the dangerous, and the ridiculous. And it evolved to discard the mundane.
Oh, so if it's boring, the brain deletes it.
Yes. If you try to remember a dry textbook definition, your brain deletes it to save space. But if you picture your friend Mercy sweating next to the sun in sunglasses, your visual cortex tags that as highly unique and saves it permanently.
So we're basically hijacking our brain's love for weird mental images and inside jokes and using it as a Trojan horse to memorize biology and astronomy.
That is exactly what we're doing.
Let's actually try this. Let's build a memory bridge right now to show how this works in real time.
Okay, I'm game.
Give me a random, unconnected fact, something notoriously hard to memorize.
Okay, let's go with this foreign language. The Spanish word for cat is gato, G-A-T-O. If you don't speak a Romance language, that word has absolutely no logical connection to a small furry animal.
Right. Gato. So I need to connect the sound gato to the concept of a cat.
Yep, build the bridge.
Okay, gato. Like the French word for cake. Okay, I'm picturing a very smug, super fluffy white cat sitting on a dining room table, absolutely gorging itself on a massive, expensive chocolate gâteau cake. The cat has chocolate frosting all over its whiskers.
Perfect. You've taken an isolated piece of audio data, the word gato, and paved a massive multi-lane highway to it using a vivid, ridiculous visual image.
That is surprisingly vivid.
When you need the Spanish word for cat, you won't search an alphabetical dictionary in your head. You will instantly see the cat eating the cake.
It really turns studying from this passive, miserable chore into a highly active, almost creative puzzle.
Which is really the overarching philosophy of Tolan Grey's methodology. Studying cannot be passive.
Right.
Whether you're using the read, recall, repeat system to trigger neuroplasticity, or hunting for the map with the question-first method to engage your RAS, or building these bizarre memory bridges, you are actively forcing your brain to engage with the material on biological terms.
Which brings us full circle. Tolan Grey went from architecture to coding, which is a massive, incredibly difficult leap.
Huge leap.
And she made that leap not because she was born with a photographic memory, but because she built a system that respected her time. Knowledge is only valuable when it is applied. The true value of this deep dive isn't just you listening to us break down cognitive science. It's you taking the 3R system, taking the question-first method, taking memory bridges, and actually applying them to whatever you are trying to master right now.
And if you'll indulge me, I want to leave the listener with a thought that extends far beyond just passing a certification or learning to code.
Oh, please do.
We talked extensively about the question-first method today, looking at the test before you read the book. But what if you applied that exact philosophy to the rest of your life?
Oh, how do you mean? Like outside of studying?
Yeah. What if, before you opened a dense nonfiction book you've been meaning to read, you stopped and wrote down the 10 specific questions you wanted that book to answer?
Okay.
Or before you started a massive new project at work or walked into a really high-stakes meeting, what if you took a blank piece of paper and defined the exact questions you needed answered before you walked in the door?
Wow.
How much faster would you cut through the noise of your daily life if your brain's filter was already actively hunting for the signal?
It completely flips the dynamic. You wouldn't be a passive participant hoping to absorb information. You'd be extracting exactly what you need.
Exactly.
Because remember, the thought experiment we started with. Someone is offering you $10 million, but you only have 1 day left to live.
And you said no.
You wouldn't take the money because your time is your most valuable asset. So the real question is, how are you going to stop burning it on the illusion of learning and start using it to master exactly what you need to know?
A question definitely worth sitting with.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Go build those memory bridges, find your map, and we will see you next time.